What's your favorite forgotten celebrity controversy? Dude, Tiger Woods screwing like 30 strippers slash pornsters slash prostitutes. Girls kept coming out of the woodwork saying he screwed them, and he was just like yay. Then the video of his ex-wife chasing after his car throwing golf clubs at it. Edit. Okay, maybe there isn't a video, I just vividly remember one, but it was probably the fake one. Mark Wahlberg chasing and throwing rocks at black children while yelling, "Kill the N-word" in 1986. Then in 1988 assaulting 2 different Vietnamese men in one day, ultimately knocking one unconscious with a piece of wood, while making numerous unsolicited racial statements about them to the arresting officers. After telling them that's the guy whose head I split open regarding the victim he rendered unconscious. Got charged with attempted murder, plead guilty to felony assault, got sentenced to 2 years in jail, of which he served 45 days. He started recording with Marky Mark and a Funky Bunch in 1990. Then, in 1992 he fractured his neighbor's jaw for no reason at all, by viciously and repeatedly kicking him in the face, while another man held him down. Read his wiki, it's a wild ride. Mike Tyson is a convicted rapist. On March 26, 1992, Tyson was sentenced to 6 years in prison along with 4 years of probation. 72. Despite being 25 years old at the time of the crime, he was assigned to the Indiana Youth Center, now the Plainfield Correctional Facility, in April 1992. 73, and he was released in March 1995 after serving less than 3 years of his 6-year sentence, because that's how the rich and famous are treated. Interesting detail, his lawyer was Alan Dershowitz, longtime close friend of Jeffrey Epstein, and accused rapist of several underage girls that got trafficked to him by Epstein, who, by the way, didn't kill himself. Stephen Collins, the father from Seventh Heaven, Eric Camden, admitted to sexually abusing minors between 1973 and 1994. He is now 72 and married to a 32-year-old superfan. He essentially went unpunished. When Kanye went on his rant at Wiz Khalifa, with bullet points / numbers, talking shit because he thought Wiz said something about Kim, only to discover he was talking about weed. My favorite part was when he managed to compliment Wiz when he said he wished he could wear pants as well as him in the middle of the list of digs. Lol, when Dog the Bounty Hunter said some racist shit and then was later arrested in Mexico when they went to arrest a fugitive who fled to Mexico. Also, the dog racist stuff reminded me of the Hulk Hogan racist stuff. Oh, how about those 2 swipes, Robert De Niro and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. furthering the anti-vax bill by offering $100,000 to anyone who could prove vaccines don't cause autism, which they never gave out because vaccine northeast evil. After the success of Ferris Bueller, Matthew Broderick was driving the wrong way down a motorway in Northern Ireland with Jennifer Grey. He hit another car going the correct direction and killed the 2 people in the car. He was horrifically injured, as was Jennifer Grey, who subsequently got reconstructive surgery and dropped out of the limelight as people no longer recognized her. He was found guilty of a charge of careless driving and fined $175. Rush Limbaugh went on an all-male trip to the Dominican and was caught on his way back with a bottle of Viagra in his doctor's name. Now Rush, why would you need Viagra on a all-guys trip to the Dominican? Your wife isn't with you. Wouldn't call it my favorite, but you don't ever hear about Kobe Bryant's rape trial anymore. I don't recall all the details, except it went from "oh, he might go to jail for 10+ years" never speak of it again. Is Mamba better than Jordan pretty quick? In 1995, when singer Ty Herndon was gaining popularity on the country music charts, he was arrested in a public park in Fort Worth for showing his dick to an undercover police officer and trying to get the guy to have sex. Because country music was so homophobic at the time, it was much better for his reputation to get the public indecency charge dropped in exchange for pleading guilty to meth possession. He was also high and in possession at the time of arrest, and country radio quickly swept the whole "oh wow, Ty Herndon is gay" stuff under the rug. He went on to have a bigger career and only finally came out as gay 19 years later. Edit. Spelling. Not only does it seem like everyone forgot about Governor Coonman in Virginia, but the lieutenant governor was accused by multiple women of sexual assault and it just seemingly disappeared in a week. I know that the lieutenant governor of Virginia really isn't a celebrity, but all of the allegations against him came out when that whole blackface scandal was national news. There is an entire generation that watches Martha and Snoop's potluck dinner party, not remembering that Snoop Dogg was once on trial for murder, yet between the two of them, Martha Stewart was the one who went to prison. When Christian Bale went crazy on the director of photography on the set of Terminator Salvation, he went off on him and threatened to kick his ass. Peter Serafinowicz, an English comedian whom most Brits will know, though he has appeared in a number of big American films, tried to use the Human Rights Act to prevent the publication of details about his grandfather, who allegedly murdered several Jews and had personal involvement in the destruction of the Jewish population in Belarus during the Second World War. Obviously, Serafinowicz cannot be blamed or slandered for the atrocities that are attributed to his grandfather. But the attempt to prevent it from being published in the media, though eventually abandoned, always struck me as somewhat self-serving. Still, great comedian who I'm sure is a lovely guy. Emma Watson was named in the Panama Papers, but it wasn't even a controversy when that information came out. When Trump, Zuckerberg, Bezos and other old white men don't pay their taxes you're outraged, but when it's a cute girl doing the same everybody sounds like their lawyer saying technically it's not illegal. Peyton Manning, back in college. The alleged incident took place in 1996, when Manning was a 19-year-old sophomore at Tennessee. Norite claims that Manning put his testicles and anus in her face while she was examining him for an injury. Manning denies the claim and discussed it in a chapter in his book, which prompted Norite to sue him for defamation. After a court ruled that there was sufficient evidence for the case to be heard by a jury, Manning and Norite settled outside of court. That a high-ranking member in society, who has backed multiple political operatives in addition to possessing relationships with other well-known celebrities, was being tried for predatory relations and pedophilia tendencies. In addition to possessing an island in which he and acquaintances to whom he would provide financial backing indulged in such morbid fantasies. Later, he would be confined and restricted to a jail cell, which would lead to an apparent suicide. Following medical examination, his injuries were determined to be not self-sustained. The whole Natalie Wood death. The witness statements were inconsistent. Her husband, Robert Warner, whom she had divorced and remarried, has been named a suspect. But it's mostly forgotten as it happened almost 40 years ago. I'm sure most people have forgotten about what RDJ was like before Iron Man. Probably the best redemption story of all time, if we are being honest, going from a coke and alcohol addict whose wife left him while he was facing 10+ years in jail time, to being the star of the highest grossing movie of all time and beloved by millions worldwide. Everyone remembers when Britney Spears' mental health took a sharp decline, but some of the situations surrounding it have been seemingly forgotten. Like the time she was put on a 72-hour psychiatric hold and lost custody of her children after she, along with the 2 children, were barricaded in her bathroom in what was some might consider a hostage situation, and then was placed on another hold for 2 weeks not long after that. Or how she was, allegedly, being drugged by her manager. I genuinely didn't think she'd make it out of 2008. Jeffrey Jones, the dad from Beetlejuice and the principal from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, is a registered sex offender. He was busted with possession of child pornography and trying to solicit nude pics from a then 14-year-old boy. He got just about as lucky as a predator could get back in the early 2000s and got off with 5 years probation. While it sort of killed his film career, he still managed to get a supporting role on Deadwood almost immediately after all this came out. This one gonna make you go AUHHH. On October 2nd, 1978, Tim Allen was arrested in the Kalamazoo/Battle Creek International Airport for possession of over 650 grams, 1.43 pounds, of cocaine. He subsequently pleaded guilty to felony drug trafficking charges and provided the names of other dealers in exchange for a sentence of 3 to 7 years, rather than a possible life imprisonment. He was paroled on June 12, 1981, after serving 2 years and 4 months in Federal Correctional Institution, Sandston in Sandston, Minnesota. Long ago in a different galaxy, Alan Ladd the actor had begun to make a success of acting. His mother came asking to borrow money from him, but on refusal she bought poison and drank it in the backseat of his car. She effectively committed suicide in front of her son. Dave Coulier, Uncle Joey from Full House, dated Alanis Morissette when she was 17, and he's like 15 years older than her. Her song You Oughta Know is about him, and there's a line in it about blowing him in a movie theater lol.